What's going on YouTube? Earth Power here with CVH.
How's it going, everybody?
And guys, today for you, we have the finals in the Season 1 2023 bracket tournament using the finished meta, trying to find the best deck. And we're almost there.
Yeah, we're gonna find it right now.
Tell the people what we have for them, CVH.
Well, y'all just saw the bronze match where Hydrus took down Phantomac in a 2-0 fashion, and now we're on to the grand finals with Light Dark Fire Nature Phal Control versus Light Water Dark Nature Mana Burn. The two 4-color decks in the tournament.
Yeah, shout outs to,
Should I jump on in? Should I
as
just go for it, or you're prefacing
Yeah,
this some more?
yeah, you can go ahead and jump right in. We can do some shuffling while we prelim this, and I think in future, as we jump into and looking ahead in the future, obviously we don't want to get too far ahead, but here in the finals, obviously, I wanted this production to be a lot more. We have a contest going on right now for those of you who entered in the poll to see who was going to win. So based on your predictions and who guessed it, we'll be pulling a random winner there, and I'll have a follow-up video to this for those who picked the winning deck list, which we'll find out towards the end of at the end of this match, obviously. But yeah, shout outs to our seeding, right? So Foul comes in at seed 8, and Mana Burn essentially comes into this tournament unranked, but taking the spot of 14 for Light Water, or for, excuse me, Light Fire Rush. And here they are, two, I guess, in our way of thinking, underdogs, if you
Yeah,
will.
I think we learned a lot, when it comes to Foul. We knew it was good, but we sort of rated it below other control decks like Water Dark Fire and Declotans. And in reality, like Water Dark Fire controlled the classic probably isn't even that good, and probably also isn't even a real control deck. Like, it's more mid-rangey, as we've come to find. It's just the way it
Yeah,
plays.
and I mean, over the course of 5 months, and and in real time, you guys have been seeing this since January when we started posting. So about 2.5 months of posting content now, but or 2 months really. But we started jumping back into Duel Masters, and obviously jumping more into it full throttle towards the end of the year, right after the holidays. But a lot of this tournament was based on our thinking from 10 years ago. And obviously that thinking has evolved immensely just over the past 2 months, but let alone all the overseas meta stuff that we've watched and come to know. And hopefully we're bringing that to season 2 for you. But enough about that. Let's get into Foul versus Mana Burn. So slow starts for both decks, which I guess is
Sparks are
how
flying with a Crystal Memory as the first play.
I
But yeah,
guess
as
it's
you can
kind of
see, a
how.
lot of cards in mana that like we're not really going to be playing a whole lot of in this matchup, like Spiral Gate, Bloody Skeeto, Miraculous Snare. Not really the early game cards you want when your opponent's not playing a threatening board. So basically, these two decks both want to ramp as like a core philosophy. Like, both have Bronze Arm Tribes and Sky Swords. My deck has a lot to ramp to as Mana Burn. Get the Fortress Shells and the Miraculous Plagues, which I really would like to play early. And you have essentially Lost Soul as the main thing. Your deck has Fire, which is great for like Apocalypse Vice against those faster decks, but against this matchup, a lot of this is going to come down to a race for Lost Soul. So I would bet that I search for either ramp or the Lost Soul, depending on what I don't already have.
Right. And knowing now that I'm kind of behind the 8 ball, I didn't see Nature Mana. Haven't seen it yet. Um, and just to put a body out on board, knowing that if that Crystal Memory was Lost Soul, um, trying to preemptively get the body. If I know I'm
Yeah.
racing the Lost Soul, I wasn't expecting the Sky Sword, but because he didn't have Nature Mana. But now that he did, it just kind of made that play at least a little bit more top of mind. But if Lost Soul happens this turn, if that's what you ended up memorying for, um, yeah, it's not in a good way. Unfortunately, you don't have it, which is interesting. You go for the miraculous plague there.
Yeah.
Thought process, sir.
I'm trying to remember if I didn't have Lost Soul or Ramp in my hand, I probably would have searched for the Ramp because at least I can Plague before you play Lost Soul, and that keeps you off of Lost Soul for a couple extra turns. I don't want to risk a situation where you can Lost Soul me before I can play Plague or Soul. So at least the Ramp I know is pretty important, and I guess I was just holding Plague. So I guess my hand only had like the one thing to ramp to and like 0 actual ramp cards. Like, neither of us hit Bronze Arm Tribe, which is not what we want to see. Obviously, we'd like to hit it. So yeah, I guess we're thinking
Plague,
about what this Plague is right, but it is pretty tough.
and then another plague on top of that. At the end of the day, you can kind of do this and not feel bad about it, in the sense that
Hmm.
yeah, both of your plagues are down, but they weren't going to see a ton of value, I think, over the course of this match if it goes long anyways.
Yeah, this is just buying me
Um,
time to find
and
fortress
like
shells, and
find
it's
lost,
also that.
well, find lost soul, right? So if you just keep plaguing, I can barely do a thing per turn. You saw that my
Oh,
progression was great,
now that
and
I'm
if you're
remembering
just
this, okay, I did actually have Lost Soul, and I was
okay,
plaguing
yeah,
because
yeah,
yeah,
if you did memory for lost soul, then that's really top of mind. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
you're plaguing. I can't respond either turn, and then you just lost soul once I'm at like 5 to 6 mana,
yeah.
and I'm just now losing.
As this was weeks ago, I can't remember which card I memoried for. Like, if I already had Plague and Soul, then I would have searched for the Sky Sword. If I already had Sky Sword and Plague, I would have searched Soul. It really just depends on what the other ones were. But obviously, like, one of the things you can do with Plague is bounce a bunch of mana, 2 at a time. Your opponent plays 1 on the following turn, and then if you have Lost Soul, it's great. It essentially,
Yeah,
kills everything you bounced. But even if I hadn't had Lost Soul there, putting you at 4 mana, like, gives me quite a few turns to at least find something else to do and a board to develop. But now I have time, and you're down to 1 card in hand, and your mana situation is not super great. You still don't have nature mana. So yeah,
yeah. Phal not having ramp on the play there, followed up with you just being able to memory into whatever you wanted, knowing I couldn't respond was the key to the game
yeah.
here.
So that turn I do Belix for swap to play Locomotiver because I have a feeling you have Lost Soul, and it turns out you did. I remember thinking about that turn for a while because wasting a soul swap like that is generally not great, and you could have just been holding something that made me think you had Lost Soul. But my hand apparently has so much gas that I can't really take the risk here. So I went
Well,
for it.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're so far ahead. Why risk losing all of that if for a single card you can just
Yeah,
snipe what's in
but I mean, like, using the Belix and swap to maybe destroy a Crimson Hammer or something, or like Bronze Arm. It might have felt bad.
right. I don't have the luxury of being in this positioning, just trying to read the opponent. Yeah, yeah. If I really wanted to be sneaky and hold the Crimson Hammer, but I'm at 5 to 6 mana. Like if I'm drawing something that's not playable, I'm playing it in mana. Like I don't have a lot of wiggle room to be cheeky.
That's
So,
fair.
anything I hold, I think, is worth getting rid of, which in this
Did I have to
sense is
do
the
that?
same way.
Wow, it's happened again.
Yeah. Well, I was able to I
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Terrahorned
True.
to go for Belix to grab back Lost Soul, trying to take you off of it again, and fortunately, you have the
Swap Loca, or the Spiral Gate Loca rather,
Spiral
this
Gate
time.
Loca. Yeah.
Yeah, Locomotive are putting in some serious work. And interestingly, it's one of the cards we remove in Season 2's version of Mana Burn, so it'll be interesting to see how that affects things.
Spoiler
Um,
alert.
yeah, well, they're fine. If they watched this far, they deserve to know some things.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah,
The
no, it's
comments.
yeah. So now we're counting decks because we're getting to that point. Um,
Yeah, this has been
so
a,
yeah, this is gonna
Fortress
be
Shell-less game, and without Fortress Shell on board, I don't really have a whole lot of dense creatures to attack with, and I'm starting to think that if I'm ahead by 1 or 2 cards, it might just be more prudent to wait, because I
I think
have,
there's a point there with your memory too. I think there's the realization that two of your fortress shells are in shields.
yeah. And that's another
And
thing
that,
too, this version of Mana Ramp, or Mana Burn, only has the 3 shells. That might change in Season 2. I'll leave that up in the air so Carl doesn't get mad at me for spoiling things, but when you have 3 shells, sometimes they go
some
to the wrong
number of shells
place.
between 3 and 4. Yeah,
Yeah, three and a
it's
half.
different from the season. Yeah.
And here's the third miraculous plague of the game. I think,
I
given that I am ahead in cards in the deck, that's what we discovered, is that you were like behind by 1 turn, so you will deck out first. I have a reasonable board compared to yours. You can't really play cards like Bronze Arm Tribe, and I think my game plan is to just try to stall. I have no real reason to draw extra cards here, and you have so little presence on board with my 6 shields and 3 things that it seems relatively safe. I can just use cards like Plague to buy time, and your deck has some creatures, but also Phal has a lot of removal spells that are never really going to be super active here. Clamp is good.
yeah, yeah. Logic into clamp. I know it takes me down 1 turn, but still not the worst. So at the end of the day, I just need to find a way to force you to draw a card or two. Um, because there's the realization that both of our decks can kind of force the other to deck themselves. And I think that is what it comes down to towards the end of this match.
Yeah, if
Because if I can,
you have a soul swap, you know, I have Sky Sword and mana.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I can swap out your Sky Sword, and I think, so the realization hasn't hit yet, but that should have been what I did there. Was swap out your Loco or your Phal rather for the Sky Sword and
true.
try to force off of cards. But I'm still thinking that with probably 5 to 6 turns or so, I can still set up Cryptic, so it's not the
Yeah, if you
worst
think there's a
potential.
chance to actually win the game with Totem, like I don't have that many cards in hand, and you discarded a pit, 2 snares are down, there's only 2 in the deck, 3 pits are in mana, so like all the pits are gone. Cryptic is pretty viable. If you could actually stick it.
Well, and you just get back a Miraculous Plague as well.
Oh yeah,
But
that
again,
happens.
it's not a permanent answer to Cryptic. So.
Yeah. Morbid Medicine, or Foul and Cryptic.
Yeah. Yeah, but shout outs
Oh, and
to
Foul
not
actually.
realizing it, because at this point I probably could have double swapped your Foul at least a couple times
Yeah,
to
it's
take you
true.
off of to at least take 4 more cards out of your deck.
Sky
So
Sword and mana is actually, and there's another one too. Obviously, I know I don't want to play it. But yeah, that's really strong because even if you don't know all of my shells are in shields, like that's 2 more shots to like hit my shell off the top of the deck and give me fewer things to attack with. Even if you don't wind up decking me out, it's like I no longer have one of the key
and
cards.
Foul's there to contest your creatures as you play them. So anything I can do to put you off center. But again, not thinking that way yet now. Again, hindsight being 2020. I think that was the game plan I needed to be on, and I'm still trying to find a way to grab Cryptic and find a potential out here. Just knowing that you're out of removal essentially at this point without Foul.
Yeah, it's interesting. You don't have a Sky Sword of mana. I know if you had started doing that to me, I would have started trying to do it to you, but all I can bring out for you is a Bronze Arm Tribe, which mills you half as fast.
Right.
So, depending on how many swaps I had in my hand and how many fouls, might not have worked out the best for me. But I would have had a lot of shields.
Yeah. Definitely made for some interesting game plan here for sure. And yeah, we're deep in the tank here again as we near the end of this game. Both of us trying to figure out, is my deck going to be able to find the gas to potentially uh, put up some game winning bases here. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
taking
some
an even
weird next
trade.
level stuff that happens if we do the soul swap stuff. Because if I have a Sky Sword on board, I can like spiral gate it back to my own hand to prevent you from swapping it anymore.
Yeah,
Like, there's some interesting stuff that can
wow,
happen there.
a lot of wild lines. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. So and there's the third foul. Like I said, I could have just been like super swapping your cards.
swapping into a
Yep.
Baza.
Oh yeah. So I think So this is the turn. I think we try to break as many of your shields as possible. Yeah. Um, and I'm feeling because again, looking at it, from a different line, this still potentially presents lethal. Knowing you have Miraculous Plague, that's obviously the card you're going
Yeah,
to play. You're going to be able to clear my board, but that's 2 turns of Baza where you're going to have to find some way to deal with it in my hand. So,
yeah. Well, at least you
yeah.
won't be able to play it next turn if I plague this turn because you're on exactly 8.
Yeah. Yep.
But still,
How about that? Yeah. No, for sure. Oh, show.
faux show. That's a lot of Bronze Arm tribes down there. They all got drawn at the exact wrong time.
Yeah. Well, maybe the right time if we're looking at these deck out strats.
True.
Oh, you spiral back. Yeah. Okay. So you're just trying to clear board and set yourself up to be in a more favorable position, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, like attacking is something that I could do. I'm looking at the cards in your
Yeah.
deck. I know you have Baza. I don't know if my hand is able to stall against Baza forever. Like, if I don't have any more burn, then 2 turns from now, it's just going to start killing me, and I have 3 things, so there's a chance that attacking here is not super wrong. And after thinking that I'm going to mill you for a while, I might decide not to. I honestly have no idea what I don't remember how this went, so I might attack. Doesn't seem like
Well,
I did
you're
because it's your turn.
Mana
Yeah.
Burn still play Mana Burn. This version doesn't play Cranium Clamp, correct?
No, there's a clamp. One clamp. One clamp, two
Clamp.
loco, two soul. And clamp is in the next one too. It was just the locomotivers that are in this version that are not in season 2's version.
Gotcha.
We are
Gotcha. So
thinking
yeah,
hard.
7 here, and yeah, it's basically Phal. Grab back the swap, and
Yeah, unable to play it this turn. This time I'm swapping, getting back Lost Soul, and that is powerful.
yep, yep. That's a strong one.
Yeah.
That is now the third time I've been lost sold by you.
There's been like 4 plagues and 3 Lost Souls this game.
Stings, man. It stings every time.
And this is Locomotiver and Phal. I don't know. I don't show the class what I got. I think it might be Plague. That would make sense.
Find the cryptic off the top and
You do.
basically make you say deal with it.
Hopefully I got something back that can deal with it. Maybe I got Lost Soul? That seems weird. No, I got back Plague. Okay. There we go. And this time you can play Cryptic next turn, but I still have tons of time, and you're down to maybe just 2 in deck? Is that right?
2 or 3 at this point. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 3, 3, 3.
Yeah, 3. Oh yeah. So this is where I realized that I could have potentially decked you. But granted, you would have had the swap on that turn as well. So there's some uh, there's some logic there.
Yeah. It is funny, though, that I do eventually decide to attack when you have, like, 3 cards left in deck. Like, I'll just have to beat him before he beats himself. I'm going to turn the speed down and see if that changes the buffering issue.
Okay.
Hopefully. Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah, it looks like we're playing catch up with the buffer speed there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, interesting game one comes, you say quote unquote down to the wire. Foul amidst getting plagued and lost, plagued multiple times, lost sold at least 3 times. Puts up a decent fight, all things considered. So, not super upset with how either one. Obviously, Mana Burn was running circles around Foul, but Foul seeing some key cards, some key moments there, kept it in the game, which is uh, a good feeling. Mana Burn's not as uninteractive as I think some people give it credit for.
Yeah, I mean, the first, like, quarter of the game definitely didn't break your way because you didn't see the mana ramp into the Lost Soul, and we were just both racing to our 7-cost spells. Mana Burn found the ramp and found a Plague and a Soul, and it's if you can't keep up ramping against that, it's going to be really tough, and it just sort of spirals after that. But even still, Nazi and Shell gave Phal an opportunity to build up a pretty scary board that I had to keep answering, and it almost was enough to kill me.
And we find our bronze arm tribe, and we also find our pits.
We do. We find all the things. You just play in green-black control.
Sure
Turn
am.
4 Terrahorn, here we go.
Sure am. Got to open up the rest of these colors. If I know me, I'm searching for mana with Terrahorn, not necessarily the card in hand.
Yeah. I'm hoping currently that I can find or already have another Sky Sword in my hand or another Bronze Arm so I can still hit 7 before you.
Yeah.
That would be the big thing.
I think part of my thinking here is to either grab Cryptic
Ooh.
or in this case ramp, something I know I can ramp to guarantee that I can Lost Soul, hopefully before you.
Do you remember if you have
But
Lost Soul here? I feel like you probably do if you're grabbing a Bronze Arm.
I think so. And that's
Self-cut.
yeah, and that's the point there. So we're both playing ramp against each other, but I miss a turn of it with the Terrahorn, which means you're allowed to essentially get ahead of turn if you have ramp here, and that
Yeah.
just
Very
might not
important.
be good for me.
Yeah, actually, I'm curious why you grabbed the Bronze Arm because you're at 5 right now. So if you go 6 next turn, that'll put you at 8 the following turn, which doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think part of the logic is I'm playing against mana burn. So if you're able to do anything to force me off of mana, if the answer to trying to keep me off of Lost Soul is plague, then that's what I want to avoid.
Sure.
At the end of the day, I think terrahorning into and I think my initial thought process here would have been to Terrahorn and grab Cryptic. Um, but I think the other one is in shields. I think otherwise I would have wanted to grab Cryptic and then just try to race this Bronze Arm tribe if your best answer the following turn is a Sky Sword. Because
Mhm.
if you want a Lost Soul from there, I'm in a good position.
So it would be
At
me
that
playing
point, I
Sky
don't,
Sword, you playing Cryptic, and me Lost Souling with a board of 2 things versus your Cryptic and 2 things. Yeah, that could be bad for me.
because even if you don't have Plague, then I'm in an even better position. Because even if you Plague the Cryptic at that point, I'm still replaying it the following turn, and or at least the turn you're plaguing it, and then from there, I can just keep dropping Cryptic and just forcing you to have an answer at that point if it's not one of the two pits that's in your Amazon.
Well, I don't think I have Sky Sword into a 7 cost spell, because if I did, I would probably slam it. Um, might be talking about, might be having the same conversation we're having right now about like
Yeah,
bronze arms and stuff.
racing each other's Bronze Arm tribe.
3 for a soul swap into Sky Sword. Okay, so I do actually kind of weirdly have the Sky Sword,
Yep,
which
you
is
got that.
pretty funny. Another Sky Sword in mana, and then stream. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so either you
Yeah.
don't have it or you're digging for it and you're just praying to have it before me.
Yeah, I think that was why I took so long with that plays, because based on how you were playing, I'm pretty sure that you have a like a lost soul or something, and I'm really hoping that I can just give myself the opportunity to play either lost soul or plague next turn if I draw it. And my thought, I guess, with that is like, hey, if I don't have it,
Oh,
then
look at that. I get the mana and the Cryptic. So I'm able to
you
set
do.
up the turn I wanted to anyways. Maybe I was already ahead of the game with Lost Soul there.
Breaking here is
Oh yeah,
a little
taking
risky.
taking a spicy break here to see if I can potentially get ahead.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
if you have Bazagaziel, it sets up lethal.
yeah, that too.
So I'm looking pretty bad on board. 6 mana, this would be a great plague turn. Now Lost Soul's looking, as you said, pretty rough, because I'll, answer your tiny hand and then I'll just get beaten up by your board.
Best way to answer Lost Soul, guys, is to just present lethal on board.
But plague is quite good.
Yeah, Plague's good, and now we're at the same position we were before. And I opt to take Terrahorn. Hmm, a weird one.
Yeah, I think that I gave you a, well, I don't know what I gave you in mana besides Sky Sword. I think you might have the other
Uh,
cryptic in hand.
the
Wait, no,
other
because then you might have
Cryptic.
played it. Oh,
Part of me thinks I should have there.
just
Then I
now if you
grab
have it.
Phal, and if I'm just playing into the Lost Soul here, that's just the breaks, huh?
You might think that because I had plague, I didn't have soul. Like I might only be ramping into one of the two, which often is the case.
Fair. And even Cryptic on a blank board here, I think you still lost Soul regardless, right?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, cryptic and bronze arm, I can fine with that because I
Yeah.
can lost soul, then sky sword
Sure.
can crack back on bronze arm, and I'll find an answer for cryptic eventually.
Arrowhorn's my better answer if you don't have the Lost Soul, obviously. Cryptic is slightly better on board if you have the Lost Soul, but either way, I'm getting Lost Soul. And I think I'd rather play to you not having it and setting up a better board over the course of 2 turns versus if you have it, then those are the breaks, anyways. It doesn't look like, I mean, unless you're just trying to figure out what number 8 mana is, but
Yeah,
um,
that's pretty hard. I mean, I put a shell down, and I foul for the swap for the shell.
solid.
A little
And
interesting way to do that. Yeah, no, that makes
mirrors
sense.
of
Yeah,
game one, where again you're now at the mana you want to be at, and I'm sitting at about so.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah,
yeah. It
out
sucks to
for
do
long.
it like that because like I don't want to use swaps like that, but it did get me to play shell 1 turn early, so I guess it is questionably worth it. I don't know. Always feels a little
A
bad.
follow up with another shell continues to just take me off of mana, and now you're not really in a bad spot.
No.
Um, some question there to maybe break with Val, like taking the even trade while you can get it takes me off of a creature on board potentially, but
I
knowing that I
guess.
have soul swap, but
Yeah, I'm also not super worried about like I don't really need to rush this. I don't think, and I can't set up 2-turn either way.
Right.
But I mean, if you start breaking this turn, it's generally good for me because I just wipe your board. And on 5 mana, you can't really answer a whole lot of my stuff at all.
And yeah, unfortunately, I'm swapping for Bronze Arm Trap. Oh yeah, and I have a 2-drop. Yay. Um, but yeah, I'm using Soul Swap here. I'm just trying to force any plays I can, knowing that Lost Soul was just devastating. So, while I don't think I necessarily want to just play the Soul Swap there, I do it just for the sake of doing it. And you decide not to break the second one. I think we're having that conversation there. Oh, because you swapped one in. Yep.
Yeah, I swapped in, and you have the Skeeto to trade with Phal, and I figure like next turn I'll just probably have an answer to Skeeto and try to attempt lethal.
Yep.
And on 4 mana, there are no cards in your deck that answer any of these except for Soul Swap.
Yeah, no, that's tough, especially when I don't have a lot of mana options either. You've left me with just those pits, the lonely pits.
Yeah, they were here at the start of the game, and they're here at the end.
There for you when you need them, whether you need them or not.
Yeah, would be cool to have them in the shields though.
I think this is the part of the game where I decide to dirtle because I don't actually have a play in my hand, and
But okay,
yeah, I'm just trying to decide whether or not it's worth it to take 3 shields, and it's not. So you're just presenting lethal. You have the answer for the Skeeto. Yep, don't have any pits, and that is the game. Mana Burn takes it decisively with just keeping me off of the ability to play anything, and that's just kind of how it goes sometimes.
Terror Pit for the Skeeto, and then we got the 2-0. Wow, and here's the
Guys,
updated bracket.
we have our champion
It's
of
not it.
season 1, the unranked, if you will, 14th seed, light dark nature mana burn. Light water dark nature mana burn. Four
Yeah,
civs. The
yeah.
4 civ deck made it into the finals. I don't think we mentioned that at the top of this. That's an interesting little tidbit there. But yeah, no, 4 civ mana burn, man, takes it. Did you see it coming, guys? Did you see it coming?
I remember back to like the deck profile you posted where someone was like, "Yeah, this deck is strong and it seems like a good 40 card adaptation. Boy, I really hope it does do well because it's it's very dominant in all the other metas." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, turns out one of the newest decks to us, and one of the stronger decks in the overseas metas that we as a channel up until this bracket tournament very much overlooked. I don't think it's ever seen play. I don't think Fortress Shell has ever seen play on this channel
no,
prior to this bracket tournament starting.
thought it was bad."
Um, yeah, turns out it's a really good deck, and I'd like to think that we adapted it well based on some of the lists that we pulled from to get it into this tournament. And obviously, here it is, sitting at number 1.
Yeah, it also didn't really have like an easy path. Like Marino we
Uh,
thought was good. Phantom Act proved itself. Foul Control is one of the best control decks, if not the best. And Fire Nature Rush was
Lethal
its
Weapon,
worst matchup. So
yeah. So it managed to get through all of them. Albeit I think the only game it dropped was to the Rush deck, right?
yeah, looking at the bracket, it went 8-1 in games.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah.
Wild, wild. But yeah, guys, you have your winner. Final thoughts on Foul Control. We will see it retooled and revitalized for season 2. I think this time around we're gonna focus on Forbos, the namesake of this deck overseas, and some of the 50 card metas. But yeah, no, it's Foul. Just it continues to feel good. I think even in defeat here, you saw it. Just like it managed to continuously claw for life, and I think that's just the underline of Foul is that as long as it's in the game, it stands a chance at winning. Like obviously the being very decisive there, taking it off of all of its mana choices, but um, I think at any point in the game, Foul manages to put up a fight, and that's nice. I don't know. It's a fun control deck, guys. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I think it's one of the coolest toolboxy decks and one of the toolboxiest decks. And it might not do as like decisive of victories as Mana Burn unless it gets like the ramp into soul in certain matchups, but it has, I think, pretty well rounded and good answers across the board, and I think it's a solid deck even in 40 cards.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Medits match here. But guys, thank you so much for those of you who picked Mana Burn as the victor in the poll. We will be doing a roulette for everybody. We'll drop your name into a bucket, and whoever we pick will win the prize that was determined that will be determined in the video that we make after this. So stay tuned for that. All of you who picked Mana Burn will be entered to win the contest for the season 1 bracket tournament. Otherwise, guys, we're going to be on a bit of a hiatus for the next week or two before we start we'll post some little updates here and there as we go. But otherwise, stay tuned, guys, because Bracket 2 is coming your way very shortly with the start of a play-in tournament that CVH and I are excited to get back in the box for and start narrating, and then on to the top 16. So stay tuned for all of that, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for sticking with us through season 1. Leave your comments down below, and until next time, guys. See you next time. Peace.
Each.